September the 20th, in Yangon. Thousands of monks flooded the street in the pouring rain. The people of Yangon followed them with bare feet. The anti-government protest in Myanmar, that's been running for a month, was entering a new phase as a large number of monks joined it. It's been a week since the monks joined the protest. The news overnight of the arrest of monks associated with the protest attracted even more crowds. Holding hands, the people surrounded the monks to protect them from the threat of the military. As the street march continued, the number of protesters reached 100,000. This figure is the biggest since the democracy protest in 1988. As of midnight on the 26th, the military government imposed a curfew on the town of Yangon. The riot was not suppressed, and as warned, the military are dispatched. The demonstrators and military confront each other. It's a moment of crisis. Finally, the worst has happened. Casualties are caused by the military's violent suppression. What are the reasons behind the rioting? On the 15th of August, the Myanmar military regime doubled the price of oil and quadrupled the price of gas. Prices have gone up, and it's hard to feed my family. After the increase in fuel prices, people with no livelihoods came onto the streets and demonstrated, despite violent suppression by the military regime. Rioting sparked by one issue is now becoming a burning desire for democracy among the people of Myanmar after long oppression under the military regime. Yangon, the old capital of Myanmar, the centre of Myanmar's economy and politics. Flamboyant Buddhist temples are the first things you see, as Myanmar's population is mostly Buddhist. In Myanmar, the influence of Buddhism is absolute, to such an extent that even the military regime puts a photo of militant officials worshipping at a Buddhist temple on the front page of the papers to pacify the people. A bus stop in the Yangon countryside. It's crowded with people waiting for buses to go to school and work, but none come for 30 minutes. Finally, a minibus arrives, but it's unable to carry them all. People continue to wait, not knowing if buses will arrive. The reason for all the fuss is because many bus companies reduced their routes after increases in the fuel prices. Some of the long-distance routes have been completely cancelled, and some people had to give up work because of the problems commuting. In contrast, the streets are crowded with the many people who decided to walk. Are there no buses? I decided to walk. Some walk because they can no longer afford the cost of bus fares, which nearly doubled after the fuel price increase. I'm walking because I can't afford the bus fare. Have the bus fares increased a lot? Yes. On the 15th of August, the military regime of Myanmar suddenly increased fuel prices, including diesel, natural gas and other energy-generating resources. In just a single day, fuel prices went up nearly 5 times. In Myanmar, fuel can only be bought from the state-owned gas stations, so it's inevitable that the increase in fuel prices will also create increases in public transport fares. The price of CNG, the main fuel source for the city buses, has increased dramatically by 5 times. I don't get paid monthly, I get paid daily. Bus drivers get $1.50 a day, and assistants get about $1 a day. Is it enough to pay for the fuel? We barely survive. He understands the inconvenience it causes people, but says there's no solution. The situation for taxi drivers is the same. After the huge increase in taxi fares, taxi drivers stop their cars on the street and try to attract custom. The gasoline price was $1 at first and is now officially $2.30. If you buy it on the street, you have to pay $3.85. The amount of gasoline that can be bought from a state-owned gas station is limited, and so people go out and buy what they need from the black market. A street far from Yangon centre. Take a closer look. A man is pouring gasoline into a container. Has the price of gasoline increased a lot? When the government's price of gasoline was $1.16, gasoline was sold here at $2.30. Now it's sold at $3.50. On the black market, the price of gasoline has only increased by 50%, whilst the government price has doubled. It's because many cars come out here to sell gasoline instead of buying it. Many people want to make money from selling gasoline for a higher price after buying it from a state-owned gas station. The impact of the increase in the fuel price is not felt just in public transport. This is a Korean-owned clothing factory located in Burma, the second largest city in Myanmar. Because of the lack of electricity, about 70% of the whole operation requires a generator, which is run by gasoline. So the increase in gasoline prices has an enormous impact on us. A firewood boiler helps for now, but this is also just a temporary solution. A street market in Yangon. In the evening, several people start to appear. But only a few of them are here as customers out to buy goods. The rise in cost of transporting the goods has raised the price of basic foodstuffs, such as rice and vegetables. Before the rise in the cost of energy, the price of rice was $1.40. Now it's $2.30. The price of pork was $1.50 per kilo. But now it's $4.60. The price of chicken has risen from $1 to $4.60. It's horrible. The price keeps going up, but labourers' wages remain the same. The people's basic livelihoods are being threatened. A quarter of Myanmar's population lives under the extreme poverty line of $1 a day. Up to the 1960s, Myanmar was an economic powerhouse in Asia. The military's enduring tyranny relegated Myanmar to one of the world's poorest nations. The military's fuel price hike has brought more misery to the already poverty-stricken Myanmar people. All I can do is try harder. I'll try and find a job that pays. Right now, the only thing I can do is work harder. I used to do office work, but these days I do other work late into the night. The democratic uprising in 1988 enabled the National League for Democracy, led by Aung San, to win the presidential elections. But the military put her under house arrest and has been ruling Myanmar with an iron fist. Myanmar is a large country with abundant natural resources, including petroleum and natural gases. Its particularly abundant natural gas is exported to neighbouring Thailand and China and the profits are the main source of the military's funding. The military has control of the majority of Myanmar's economy. They have control of everything. Natural gas exports last year brought a profit of $12 billion, but it all went to the military regime. When the US gave a warning to Myanmar's military regime, the military moved the capital city in fear of a US attack. The new capital, Naypidaw, was built secretly in the jungle. It has missiles and defence bombs that basically make it a fortress. The energy price hike this time around was to fund the cost of moving the capital city. Even amidst all this, the military's main leader spent more than $50 million on his daughter's wedding. The military ignores its people's suffering. The Myanmar people, who've endured the ongoing tyranny for the last 45 years, have finally called this energy price hike the last straw. The people's anger towards the military exploded. With the much-respected monks leading the demonstrations, the uprising has reached a critical mass. On the 26th of September, despite many warnings from the international community, the Myanmar government started to quell the riot through lethal force. But the next day, thousands of monks and civilians joined the continued peaceful march against the regime. Demonstrations did not decrease, even after the arrests of some student protesters. Student activists, NLD, and the leaders of minority groups are uniting to carry out protests. What we want to achieve is to make this protest a similar one to the 1988 democratic protest. I think many more citizens will join in for the forthcoming protest. The anti-government protest in Myanmar has already claimed lives. To make sure these sacrifices will not go to waste, the international community should step in to create true democracy in Myanmar.